Have you ever experienced the feeling at the end of the month of looking at your account with only a few 100,000 VNMD left while your salary hasn't arrived, bills are due, and all you can do is sigh? That's not just a feeling of lacking money. It's a type of financial pain that lingers, persists, and insidiously permeates modern life. It's not as loud as physical pain, but it exhausts us to the core. It doesn't kill us immediately, but it gradually erodes our self-confidence, hope, and ability to control our lives. In Vietnam, financial pain is not just an issue for the poor. It is also present among those with stable office jobs earning 15 to 20 million VNMD per month, who still cannot afford to buy a house after 10 to 15 years of working. It haunts young urbanites with the latest iPhone in hand, yet not enough money in their pockets to pay for an unexpected medical expense. It drowns 30-year-olds who still have to rely on salary advances and consumer credit because they have never learned how to manage money, let alone invest. It all starts from something seemingly trivial, not understanding the money you are using, not knowing where money is going, not knowing whether to spend or save, not daring to invest for fear of loss, and not being able to save because you always feel like you don't have enough. Therefore, financial pain is not because we can't earn money, but because we don't know what to do with money. We lack strategy, discipline, and preparation for the future. However, the most frightening thing is not that you are poor, but that you are poor yet think you are okay. You are out of control but still confident. You are in pain but don't know you are in pain. And by the time you realize it, sometimes it's too late to correct. The question is, do you have the courage to look directly at that pain and start changing right now? Welcome to the House Self, where you will find truths that society doesn't want you to know. The path to disciplined investment starts with a small capital and a change in financial mindset.
Have you ever wondered how long it would take you to buy a house in Vietnam with your current salary if no one helps you? 10 years? 20 years? Or never? And that's not even mentioning Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, where a 60 square meter apartment can sometimes cost several billion dong, amidst the escalating cost of living and inflation quietly eroding every single dong in your account while salaries only trickle up incrementally. It feels like an entire lifetime is spent just working to maintain one's position. For many, earning an extra 2 or 3 million dong each month from employment is already a great effort. However, if you merely stop at saving and do nothing more with that money, you will stand still while society as a whole is moving forward. This is the trap of investment procrastination, a classic disease in personal finance. Most people believe that investing is for the rich, that you need hundreds of millions or billions of dong to even consider investing. But this is a mistake. Precisely because you are not yet rich, you need to invest even more. The rich make their money work for them, while the poor use their labor to work for money. Buffett once stated very bluntly that if you don't invest, you'll be working for others your entire life. However, investing here doesn't mean plunging into stocks, diving into crypto, or gambling on real estate with a red or black mentality. Instead, it's about training your money to become familiar with the concept of creating value. How to start from the smallest steps, such as putting a few hundred dong thousand into an open-ended fund, buying a tael of gold each month, or setting up a fixed-term savings account. not for immediate high returns, but to cultivate an asset mindset and clearly understand the difference between liabilities and assets. A classic lesson from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In A Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki recounts that his poor dad taught him to study hard to get a stable job, while his rich dad taught him to learn how to make money. And that starts with very small actions, like investing in a small business or learning to analyze an investment deal, even if it's only worth a few $100s. It's not about how much money you earn, but how much you keep and how you make that money grow that truly matters. And that is the consistent spirit throughout the book. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors in the world, once said, "You don't need to be smarter than others. You just need to be more disciplined than them." He started investing when he was just 11 years old with a naturally small amount of money. However, what he learned from those initial transactions was not about profit, but a lesson in patience, discipline, and market cycles. Buffett never bought at the peak or sold at the bottom due to emotions. He simply bought a good business at a reasonable price and held it for decades. Similarly, you can start your journey by saving 500,000 to 1 million VND each month into a separate account specifically for investing. You don't need to choose complex financial products. An ETF tracking the VN30 index, an investment app like VIO, or even a few tails of gold are enough to create a training ground for your financial mindset. Each time you make an investment decision, you force yourself to research, analyze, and, most importantly, commit to your financial future. Charlie Munger, Buffett's capable right-hand man, once said, "Accumulating wealth is not about genius. It's about avoiding mistakes, disciplined thinking, and patience." This sounds simple, but in reality, most people stumble when it comes to discipline. They buy gold when it's hot and sell it off when it drops. They plunge into crypto when the market soars and then get disillusioned when it plummets. Investing is not a game of chance. It is a strategy, a repetition of correct actions spread out over months and years. Let's look at more familiar examples. In The Richest Man in Babylon, George S. Clason tells the story of ancient people who learned to set aside 10% of their income to build wealth.
A stonecutter did not get rich because of high income, but because he always kept a portion of his income and let that portion work for him. The lessons from ancient Babylon probably haven't changed. Make your money work for you before you work for money. You can also learn from those around you. Many young people in Vietnam today are leveraging platforms like FineEan, TikTok, or periodic investment apps to accumulate, sometimes with just 50,000 to 100,000 VND per week. They gradually form investing habits. Some, after 2 to 3 years, have accumulated 50 million to 100 million VND, not from magic, but from discipline and consistency. They didn't wait until they had money to invest. They started investing to gradually have money. Inflation is an invisible enemy to everyone. Saving is quietly eating away at every single coin in your safe. Over the past 10 years, real estate prices in Vietnam have consistently increased by an average of 7% to 12% annually, while savings interest rates only fluctuate from 4 to 6%. Holding money also means losing money. This is a bitter truth we cannot deny. So why do you still hold the mindset of depositing money in a bank for safety, if it's clear that safety doesn't bring growth? Let's do a simple calculation.
If you consistently invest 2 million VND per month into a fund with an average annual growth rate of 10%, after 10 years, you will have over 400 million VND. That amount can't buy you a downtown apartment, but it's a solid down payment that allows you to borrow and buy a house. More importantly, you will have gained knowledge, experience, and the courage to continue mastering your finances. Personal finance is not a get-rich-quick race. It is a long-term journey that begins with daring to look squarely at your wallet and asking, what can every dong I have do for me in the next 1 to 2 years? If you don't ask and don't act, then even if you save 2 million VND each month, after 5 years, you will still only be a good saver, but never an asset owner. Don't wait to be rich to invest. Invest so that money moves closer to wealth every day. Invest because you don't want to stand still any longer, because you don't want money sleeping in the safe while opportunities quietly pass by. Don't let the promise to deal with it later become a life sentence for your finances. Start today with discipline, wisdom, and patience, because in the financial world, the winner is not the fastest runner, but the one who never stops. Assets or liabilities. The illusion of wealth trap for young Vietnamese in big cities like Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi. It's not uncommon to see young people in their 20s driving the latest SH scooter, holding an iPhone 15 Pro Max, carrying a Louis Vuitton cup, drinking fancy coffee at rooftop cafes, and posting photos with "work hard, play hard." They look like successful, dynamic, and stylish individuals. However, from our perspective, those who are not truly affluent, the question is, are these items assets or liabilities? One of the most fundamental lessons taught by Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad is that the rich buy assets, while the poor buy liabilities, but think they are assets. An asset is something that brings money into your pocket every month, while a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket every day. There's nothing wrong with an SH-150i scooter, but after purchase, there are registration fees, maintenance, fuel, and depreciation costs. In contrast, a tail of gold or a share of an open-ended fund, however modest, can generate profit. It's small but stable. Here, it needs to be clear that I am not advising you not to buy liabilities. If you have the money, you can buy them. No one forbids you. I am only analyzing for those who want liabilities, but whose assets or cash flow are not yet stable. In reality, many young Vietnamese are currently in a state of spending to impress, a form of social spending, meaning spending money not for its true value, but for image. If your monthly income is 15 million VND, but you spend 5 million on a phone, 3 million on fashion, and 2 million on entertainment, your account will quickly return to zero. Not to mention inflation, credit debt, and other incidental expenses. Many people believe that rewarding oneself is necessary, which is true. However, if every reward is another liability, the cost of that self-reward will push financial freedom many years further away. Instead, try to apply a simple principle. Each month, if you buy something to consume, also start buying a small asset. For example, if you are willing to spend 500,000 VND on a weekend buffet, then also spend 500,000 VND to buy an open-ended fund certificate or an SJC Gold Tail, for instance. Not for short-term profit, but for long-term habit formation. Gradually, you will find that owning assets that lie dormant and generate passive income is much more exciting than the temporary feeling of owning a luxury item. Compound interest. Financial magic starts with discipline. Warren Buffett also once said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. So what is compound interest? Simply put, it's profit generating profit when you reinvest the received interest. The interest of the subsequent period will be calculated on both the principal and the previous interest. This effect is small at first, but over a long period, it will grow at a spectacular rate. Let's take a specific example. Two people both invest in an open-ended fund with an average return rate of 10% per year. Person A starts investing 1 million VND per month from age 25. Person B starts later, from age 35, with the same amount of money. After 30 years, when both are 55 years old, Person A will have about 2.2 billion VND, while Person B will only have about 760 million VND. That's a difference of nearly 1.5 billion VND, even though they only differed by 10 years in starting. This is the power of time combined with compound interest. Many young people think that 1 million VND per month is too small an amount to invest. However, in long-term investing, the miracle sometimes lies not in large sums of money, but in starting early and being consistent. Someone who saves 2 million VND per month for 15 years can also accumulate over 600 million VND, enough to make a down payment on a house, invest in a small business model, or pursue an additional degree. Compound interest is not just a financial tool, it's also a philosophical lesson. What you sow today, if nurtured consistently and disciplinedly, will yield results beyond imagination in the future. And the important thing is whether you have enough patience to not withdraw money early, not waver when the market goes up and down, and enough trust in the value of time. Financial skills start from 300,000 VND. Make small decisions to gain big control. Don't think that big investment decisions must start with billions of dong. They will always start from very small choices, spending 300,000 VND on a meal out or saving to buy stocks, buying discounted online items, or contributing to an investment account. It is these small financial decisions that form the foundation for a strong mindset in bigger situations. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's companion for over 50 years, once said, "Have principles. Principles help you not waver when everyone else loses control." And one of the first principles is to know the reason for each of your expenses. When you start to categorize spending, what is essential, what is temporary gratification, and what is long-term investment, you are training your brain's ability to analyze, compare, and choose, which are three core skills in financial thinking. Nowadays, managing personal cash flow has become easier than ever with several tools, such as Money Lover, an app for daily expense management by category. Sol Tichi Misa allows tracking bank accounts, credit cards, and loans, or a simple but extremely effective personal Excel sheet customizable according to individual financial goals. Every day you make dozens of small financial decisions. When you are unaware of them, they will control you. However, when you actively observe and adjust them, you truly master your cash flow and your life. Try a simple challenge. Record all your expenses for 7 days.
Then review and ask yourself if each expense is worthwhile or if there's a better opportunity.
When you start to get used to such questions, you are entering the stage of financial autonomy through decision-making, which will elevate you from the level of a consumer to the role of an investor. In a world where everything is increasing in price, from bread and gasoline to housing, those who stand still are falling behind. The difference doesn't come from your starting income, but from how you think and act with your first money. Start by distinguishing between assets and liabilities. Cultivate discipline with compound interest, and practice making financial decisions from small amounts. You don't need to be smarter than others. You just need to be more disciplined than them and start earlier than them. Overcoming the fear of investing, a journey from anxiety to mastery. If you've ever said, "I don't know anything about finance, I'm afraid of losing money," or "I don't have time to invest," then congratulations, you are normal. These are the most common fears, not just for beginners, but even experienced investors have gone through them. The regrettable thing is that most people stop at that fear and let their money lie dormant in their accounts while inflation diligently eats away at every single dong. In reality, the fear of investing does not come from investing itself, but from a lack of knowledge and experience. It's like being afraid to fly when you've never flown before, or being anxious when you start driving a car for the first time. However, no one becomes a skilled pilot or driver without daring to step into the cockpit. The solution here is not to avoid investing, but to start very small and very safely. Remember that no one is born knowing how to invest, but everyone can learn, and the sooner you learn, the less you have to pay with real money. Buffett started investing at age 11, not because he was smarter, but because he started earlier. Monthly habits create financial destiny. People often say you are the average of your 5 closest friends. In finance, you are the cumulative result of 5 financial habits repeated monthly. It's not overnight windfalls, but small, consistent, and disciplined actions that form a solid foundation for long-term change. Below are 5 simple yet powerful things that can change your financial destiny if you can maintain them every month. Allocate 10% of your income to an investment account immediately upon receiving your salary. This is how you pay yourself first, the richest principle. Don't wait until the end of the month to save what's left, because usually there will be nothing left. Treat your investment account as a fixed expense, like electricity or rent. Read an article or watch a video about finance. This will help you gradually build a knowledge base without pressure. Reading a stock analysis, an article on macroeconomics, or even an investment meme can help you improve your perspective. Review your assets, debts, and financial goals. Write down what you own: cash, gold, stocks, real estate, who you owe, credit cards, car loans, friends, parents, partners, etc., and what your goals are for 6 months, 1 year. This may only take 10 to 15 minutes, but it will provide clear direction. Record a financial decision and the accompanying emotion. Whether you buy stocks, withdraw from an investment fund, or purchase a large item, record why, how you felt at the time, and include a prediction of the consequences. This creates an investment diary, which is extremely useful for you to look back on later and avoid repeating mistakes. Don't spend money for one day each month. This is a day to tighten the belt on spending. No coffee, no shopping, no shopping. This isn't about saving a certain amount of money, but about training your ability to control emotions before spending. If you can consistently maintain these 5 habits for 1 year, I'm sure you'll be surprised at the level of maturity in your financial thinking without increasing your income. The problem is not how much money you earn, but what you do with that money each month. Investing in a crisis, counter-cyclical thinking, and the courage of long-term players.
People are often afraid when the market is on fire, yet it is during crises that opportunities, which ordinary people dare not touch, are hidden. This is what Warren Buffett has applied throughout his career. Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Let's look back at 2008. A terrible global financial crisis erupted, and as the world fled, Buffett invested heavily in major banks like Goldman Sachs. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, he bought more shares of Apple when prices were low, while the world was still fearful. The result was tens of billions of dollars in returns for Berkshire Hathaway. Counter-cyclical thinking is not recklessness, but daring to go against the crowd when one understands the nature of assets. In Vietnam, the period of 2023-2024 has also seen and is seeing a wave of financial adjustments, from real estate to stocks. For those lacking knowledge, it is a collapse, but for those with foresight, it is an opportunity to accumulate cheap assets. Not only market downturns, but even unemployment or reduced income are also opportunities to reevaluate oneself. When your salary is cut, don't panic. Use that time to assess how you've been spending, whether you are overly dependent on one source of income, and what new skills you can learn to change your career path. And you will be surprised to see how many people successfully build their own careers, start businesses, or successfully restructure personal finances precisely during the most difficult periods. Only when pushed to the limit do we reveal our weaknesses and have the opportunity to correct them. Investing is not for those who have money, but for those who dare to overcome fear, cultivate habits, and go against the crowd when necessary. You may know nothing about finance today, but you can learn. You may not be rich today, but you can start. And you may panic in a crisis, but you can become someone who finds opportunities. Start with small steps, repeat them monthly, and maintain your courage when the whole world wavers, because financial freedom is not a destination, but a lifestyle of those who choose discipline, knowledge, and maturity.